Okay, so this is a recording. We were going to do this live, but Facebook is being difficult and I can't get it to stream in the group. So I hope you guys enjoy this chat between myself and Mary as we talk about some things that she had questions about. This is a holdover from Style Star, which was a program we offered in the other Facebook group for people who had the highest engagement for the month, post comments and likes. She was the December Style Star, and because I was on maternity leave, we're just now getting to her 15 minutes. So, Mary, tell me what question you have. How can I help you today? What can I sort out for you?
Okay, so yeah, I wasn't sure there was a question in all of this, but many of you know I have been through um, all the bits and pieces that have been offered, all the new programs, all the new offerings, every little thing along the way. When I started late last summer, I thought maybe I would jump right into the fall intensive and get everything figured out in a neat little package. Little did I know uh, that there was no neat package. Not only that there wasn't going to be offered a neat package, but the neat package doesn't work neatly.
Doesn't
So
it? You're exactly right.
So, so what I've learned thus far is all kinds of things, so many things, the Radiant by Design program, the RYS Uniform System program, the do-it-yourself program, the in-person, the professional virtual color analysis, and cleaned out my closet. And I find that something is missing. I'm looking at the online folks and going, some of you really have your act together. And then I'm looking at others going, and you are still struggling like me. And so what I asked Stacy is, what might I be missing after doing all these things, but not doing the intensive, or as we might call the new program, the adventure program, not having done those yet? What does she think the nuggets are that I'm missing that are going to help me pull it all together so that I can get my closet organized? I think that's more or less the question.
So disclaimer, you sent me all this in an email, so I've had some time to ponder this. You didn't just pop this question on me right now, right?
Thank
And
you.
you sent me the email, and I literally was thinking through this last night as I laid in bed going to sleep, because the truth is, these are questions I ask myself. This is a conversation that Emily and I have at times too, about like, why are some people moving ahead and why are some people struggling? What is the difference? Because from my perspective, I'm asking the question because what can I do better? How can I help people move along? And as I thought about this, a couple things came to mind. Number one, I just like no, the first thing, I guess, kind of a little piece of information. I just started a new coaching certification program, basically just because I want to be able to help people better. And I want to make sure that I have all the tools in my arsenal. And as I was watching one of the first lessons yesterday, she said something about how, the coaching relationship, this relationship is a collaborative relationship. And so I think one of the things is I can provide all of the information and I can tell people what to do. I can give them the framework. I can give them, and I could even say it's going to work best if you just do it this way, right? But at the end of the day, I can't make anybody do anything. I can only like provide guidance and information. And so on one hand, it's something where, and I think something that happens too is when it comes to the simplification process, um, people get stuck in different places. And we've talked about this before about how people get stuck. And the thing too, like there's just a lot that goes into this. It's like a big, like I said, it's a huge question that you asked. Like a big thing. But the thing is too, like some of the people that are still struggling, they're struggling because they're struggling, and not just with their style, they're struggling with themselves. There are things that go on, I am very privileged to get to have these conversations with people, especially like in the intensive. We have very like intimate conversations. And I get to know people really well, and they share with me their like ongoing struggles they're going through. And it's one of those things where we can say it's just clothes, but it's never just clothes, right? It's because we have to wear the clothes. It's kind of one of those rules, like we can't go about naked. Um, and it is this outward expression, like everything we put on is saying something. Again, whether we mean to or not, it's always saying something. And there's just so much that goes into the concept of taking who we are on the inside and like putting it in clothes. and it's not a quick process. But when I thought about the process itself, and this is something that we're actually going to cover next Friday when we do our first call for the adventure, we're going to look
Yeah.
at the process. And I've broken it down into 5 different stages. And I kind of want to see, like, where is everyone at? Because if I'm trying to teach a bunch of people stage 5 and everybody's stuck in stage 1 or 2, it's not really going to matter because you don't have what you need to get to that point, right? And stage 5 is not the end. It's just like the point of rest in a way, because it never does end. Something changes or something happens, or we any number of things, have a baby, go back to work, go retire, all these different things cause us to have to go back through the process and kind of start, not really with stage 1 because that's color, and once you get that part it's kind of good, but to kind of go back and remassage those other parts. And so I've rambled because, like I said, I knew this was like kind of a deep well. But as I was thinking through it, I was thinking through my own process and what really made the difference for me. And I know this came to mind too last night. I know that you and I've had the conversation about how, I bought these nice things and I feel like I should keep them. I should wear them. I think for many of us, we probably grew up in the shadow of the Great Generation, right? The Depression era generation, either grandparents or parents who kept everything. You never got rid of anything. You never know when you might need it. And I think for a lot of us, that mindset has really kind of permeated everything about us. Like, I have to keep this because I bought it and I spent money on it and I might need it, or something along those lines. Which is, again, like that's actually more kind of the end stage stuff, is being able to let go of things that aren't serving you because you're happy with the things that are serving you. And I'm gonna let you talk for a second because I kind of wove that all around everywhere and give you a chance to see, like, I have another thought, but I'm going to kind of let you see if that produces any new questions or new thoughts.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I think one thing I was thinking as you were talking is that when you have content delivered as I've taken it so far, which is mostly do it yourself, read the content, process it, figure it out, maybe post some pictures, get some feedback, but it's not all that interactive. And so I think in that interaction that there's a lot of depth that might be missing.
There is, because again, it's very informative. I tend to be like, put my teacher hat on a lot of times and try to give as much as I can without overwhelming, but it is so much to process. And being able to come, like, to a call like this or to a call in the new adventure program and say, this is what I'm doing. I need help with this right now. And a lot of times I will, like, if it's a color palette, I will literally just be like, just send me the link and let me just do it. And I'll just do it, like, right there on the call. I'll be like, and we'll talk through it and I'll say, do you like this color? Should we change this color out? And instead of you just sitting there like staring at it, overwhelmed, like, it's just me. I'm like, okay, this and this. Or you come
So
to me.
much overwhelm on the groups related to color palettes. I'm like,
It
oh
really
yeah,
is. Like, it's one of those things that, and I think it's a thing about people think they have to get it perfect, and
yeah.
there's really no ever perfection in this process. 80% is going to be definitely good enough. This is like my close enough thing. It's close enough. It's good enough. And ironically, I tend to attract a lot of autumns and winters who are very much perfectionistic types.
Can't imagine why.
Interesting.
You want the answer and you have so many answers.
Yes, you just want an answer, and sometimes the best answer is just like, this is the answer for now, and it can change later, and that's okay. Or if you come to me and you're like, I don't know about essences, and I'm like, well, show me an outfit that you really liked, and I'll just be like, boom, 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 these are the essences that I see. And then you're like, and then you can, talk back to me. Oh, well, this. And I'm like, oh, well, this.
Right,
It's that
right.
interaction and that dialogue. And I'm trying to give it in Radiant by Design, but of course it's a low touch medium. And so it's somewhat limited in a way.
The
Um,
monthly calls are really, really worth it because I think a lot of the learning can be done on your own, where you're understanding color theory and understanding this stuff and processing it at your own speed, learning about the styles. But, at some point you need that integration piece. So the Radiant by Design is great with the monthly, sort of theme. And anyway, I think that's been really helpful.
you. We really love that program. Yeah, it's just such a, yeah, it's great. In a way, I would show up and answer every question all the time. But sometimes,
Right.
yeah, sometimes I can't. And that's why, we're offering this other option. But you asked what was missing. So I'm going to share with you my journey to kind of tell you. And I don't really get paid for this. I could give you a link if you wanted one, anybody wants one. But for me, the big difference came when I did the 100-day dress challenge. Honestly, it became a huge mindset shift for me because I had a problem with constantly wanting variety and feeling like, not that I wanted the variety, I was perfectly content with what I was doing, but I would come out of my little burrow and I would look around, look around my industry, look around Instagram or Facebook or whatever. And everybody says, like, they say you need variety, like you need variety in your wardrobe. And I would go down this rabbit hole of, oh, I'm going to try this, or I'm going to try this. And then I would just end up overwhelmed again. And so when I did the 100-day dress challenge, I was already wearing dresses, so it wasn't a huge leap for me, but it taught me so much about, oh my goodness, about everything, really. For me, it was a massive mindset shift to realize that, I don't even know, like I could be comfortable in one outfit or one dress. And as I wore that one dress, it forced me to take a hard look at the other parts of my wardrobe and to what I really liked wearing with that one dress, that one black dress. It caused me to stop using style as a way to hide or mask anything, because it was a black dress. And there came a point about halfway through where I was looked in the mirror and I was like, wow, I'm 40 and I can see my wrinkles. And, it's just one thing that, when you've got other stuff going on, you're like, I'm just not going to pay attention to that. But it caused me to really face myself in the mirror. And it caused me to take a look at how much I needed, how much I didn't need, and that I could be happy over time with just something really simple. I'm not saying it's for everyone. And like I said, I'm not getting paid by Wool Ann to suggest this. Was the thing for me that made a huge difference. And then the following year, again, it was another, and these are things that are more, I mean, these really are kind of, and maybe that's it. Maybe these are kind of stage 5 things, right? These finishing pieces that you kind of have to like really shake off all the extra scales you're holding on to, and then the big piece was, I guess it was in 2022, perhaps. I did a year-long low buy challenge, because I know, because yeah, I still was shopping a bunch. Again, it was part of that experiment process, but forcing myself to stop buying things, unless they were very strongly considered and planned for. Again, it was a huge mindset shift for me, and it helped me just to realize that, yeah, I could be content with what I have. Going back to your email, though, I saw that you had listed out your uniforms. And so I feel like in one regard, you are definitely probably, middle to end of it, right? Because, when you think about it, like there's getting all the knowledge, the color, the essence, the body type, figuring out all that stuff, which clothes actually work for you. And then there comes the building part, right? The actual having to shop for it all and build the wardrobe and curate it and edit out what you don't want. And it seems like maybe you're there at that
I
point.
think there's a piece related to how things fit and all the little things that they were in the uniform system program, but I didn't
Not as
quite,
as the
I
adventure.
didn't feel like, I accomplished that in a way. I'm really happy with like my 3 buckets of purpose
Mhm.
and what's in
They look
them. Yeah, and I'm happy with like the outfit pictures I pulled off online that suggested that, although they all look very wintry right now. Um, so I look at that and I go, oh yeah, that's great. And I had this trip where I was able to try my play uniform, as I call it, and that worked, so that was great. But yeah, so there's some pieces related to how things fit, and V-necks, round necks, and also fabric, which I know from sewing, so I'm really kind of interested in some of that stuff. So yeah, maybe that's towards the end, kind of pulling those details together.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is right in the middle, really. It's
Yeah,
refining because you kind of get a general idea of what you like, which you have right
great.
now. Okay, I generally, like my clothes to be kind of straight. You're working with that vertical piece, which is kind of part of the body type thing. But now it's getting into the nitty-gritty of which fabrics work well for me, which necklines work well for me. And you're right, in the uniform system, it is not a deep dive. It is just a kind of self-exploration of me asking you, look at this and see if you can figure out a common pattern between what you like. Whereas in the intensive adventure intensive, whatever we're calling it at the moment, adventure coming. Those things are covered in much greater depth. There's a lesson for t-shirts, and there's a lesson for sweaters, and there's a lesson for jewelry that you like, and shoes and handbags, and so there's just like these little lessons on each part of it. They kind of break it down a little bit more, and we talk about it kind of all exists on that yin yang soft strong
Yeah.
scale that we talk about, and we look at it from, you know, how each piece correlates to that scale, really. So it does provide a lot more in-depth exploration, and so I think that that will be really helpful for you. And then of course there's the call, so you know, you get to come and say, okay, I watched this video and I'm looking at shirts and I'm confused about this, or I need help with this, or I found this shirt online. What do you think? And a lot of times in calls, I'll just sit there and I'll be like, okay, let's just do a little shopping right quick. And we'll do a little personal shopping 5-minute session right there in the middle of the call. So there's just so much. There really
Yeah.
is. And that's the beauty of it. There's really no limit to what we can do in that kind of environment, because you have the knowledge that I've given you. And then you just get to come to me and say, this is what I want to do. And we're like, well, how do we make that happen?
Nice.
I'm excited. I'm excited that you signed up. I'm excited that you joined. I
Yay.
think it's going to be, I think it's going to give you those extra missing pieces that you're looking for sure.
Great.
Yeah, so I hope that answered everything, maybe. Sort of ramble.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I guess, yeah, I thought, well, maybe if I threw that out there, you'd go, you know, this is the part you haven't gotten. And I see a lot of people pull it together when they get there. But I think what you're saying is it's the interaction and just fine tuning those pieces.
Part of it is really, but what I mean, the other thing too is the whole process really is, it's an ongoing experiment, and some people are happy to end the experiment sooner than others. Some
Yeah.
people, you know, some people are like, hey, this is what I like and I'm good with that and I don't need to explore more. And then some people are like, you know what, I just want to keep exploring the possibilities. And every person really is different. And there are, you know, it's for me, I found the pieces, the essence and the fabric and things. I found those things to be really helpful after I had kind of already nailed down wearing dresses, because it gave me the information as to why I liked those things. Like I already knew I liked those things and I was going to wear those things. But then I was like,
Hmm.
this is the why. And it kind of opened up everything for me in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It made a
I
big
can
difference.
see that happening.
But I mean, there's really, I mean, I don't think you're missing anything that you're not about to get.
Yay. Oh, well, that's important.
I don't think you're missing anything that's not coming for you, for sure.
I either have terrible timing or absolutely perfect timing.
I think you have perfect timing, really. Because in retrospect, we put so much, there's so much in the uniform system that is
Yeah.
built off of the intensive, but it just doesn't
Yeah.
go as deep. It doesn't offer as much because,
Yeah.
again, in good conscience, I can't possibly throw all that information at somebody and not be
Oh,
there. Like, I can't just be like, here are 60 plus lessons and have fun doing it yourself. Like, that's just not who I am.
yeah. Yeah. I think people would, yeah, run screaming. Maybe
And even
run
still,
screaming.
like, even so, you know, we're not going to unlock it that way either. It's going to be more of a like stage
Yeah.
by stage kind of thing. So wherever you are, that's the content that you will be working through at that time.
Cool.
It requires some fun finagling in the back end, but it should be exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe like kind of, are you thinking of maybe releasing different things to different people as they need it, or
Kind of,
different kinds of groups?
that's kind of what we're looking at in a way, because it does break down into like I've got it mapped out into 5 different stages. And so
Yeah.
what I'm doing this next week actually is taking all of that content from the intensive and putting it in a spreadsheet and reorganizing it, and probably making each one its own separate kind of module. And so like wherever you start, you'll unlock the stuff before that if as needed. And then once you kind of finish that stage and you can check that off, then you'll move on to the next stage. So
What you need is a quiz. What stage am I at?
we're
Quiz
doing
to.
that next Friday. We're doing it in the call.
Oh, cool.
Fun. So that's what we're gonna do.
What
What
stage
stage am
are
I?
you?
We have some nice little checklist and action steps to make sure that you know that you've gone through and gotten what you needed out of each stage. So that's what we're doing.
You didn't miss that key point.
I did not. I am learning to try to
Yeah.
make it, yeah, to try to make it just right for everybody.
Well, there's nothing like something new all the time. I I like new things. I like to try things new, even if it's the same thing, try it a new way. So,
And you know, it's interesting. That's kind of this is a nice way to wrap it up too, because Emily and I talk about this, and I always, Emily and I are talking on a regular basis, and looking at how, because her title is it's oh my gosh, it's customer support or client support specialist, right? Like that's what she does. She's here to help support you guys, and she's so much more encouraging than I probably am at base level.
she's very good, yeah.
She's got wonderful strengths, and so we're always talking about like how, why do people get stuck, how to move them forward. And I say all the time, like I feel like I'm repeating myself, like I say the same things over and over and over again. And something that I've recently kind of had driven home to me is that yes, like a lot of times we do have to hear the same thing over and over and over again until we're ready to receive it, right? Until
Yeah.
we have all the knowledge that we need to receive it. And as I was thinking this through, last night, I was thinking about how in my life personally, I tend to make friendships and form relationships with people who aren't believers, right? From a Christian's perspective. And I never really go about trying to force the gospel on them, right? I'm just over here. I'm like, I'm just living my life, being an imperfect Christian, trying to follow Christ, like trying to be this person, and be this light. And if, one day down the road, if they don't receive it now, one day down the road, I may be part of the reason that they were able to receive it later. And I think that our style journey is very much the same, is that there's so much information, and sometimes we're just not ready to receive that piece of information. We're not ready
That's true.
to tackle that step. Like we aren't there yet because we're missing something foundationally, or we've got stuff going on in our head and heart that we just aren't ready to hear that. And so when the time comes, like we will hit that and we'll be like, oh, of course, that makes total sense. And I'm ready to receive that now. And now I'm going to move forward.
Yeah, it's kind of that change theory concept.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's yeah, we can only
I mean,
handle what you're capable
yeah.
of at the moment. So
Yeah, well, it's very exciting. Looking forward to it.
it is
And
exciting. It was
figured
a
let's
great, it was a great, I'm not sure it was a question. It's more of a yeah, why does this work? Why does this not work? What's going on? It's a hard question. I ask myself the
well,
question a lot.
I'll just mention somebody, not by name, but who's, used to show up in adorable pants outfits, all put together in their color and style and whatnot, and made a shift over to dresses and is now showing up in adorable dresses that are just perfect. And I'm like, wow, look at that. It's just, so that even within the I know exactly what I want. I'm like, well, okay, I know exactly what I want, but I want to try this other thing over here. And how do I make that exactly what I want? Yeah.
I will say this is really a separate conversation, and it's not something I talk about a lot because I know that everybody is not really. This is like a message people aren't ready to hear a lot of times. Um, but shifting to dresses was profound for me.
Mm,
Truly, like in ways that I don't even really have words for. Like mentally, how I show up physically, like in my marriage, like it was crazy profound. And it's interesting because I've tried to share it with people, like I'm like, it's really profound, you should just give it a try. And that's kind of, I'm like, try the dress challenge, like the 100 day, because it will, kind of force you to see if maybe you can have some profound shifts too. But the people I've seen kind of switch over to that, they're like, wow, like this is mind blowing. And so again, it's one of those things, like I said, it could be a missing piece for you. If you're, if you're like feeling overwhelmed and lost, it's definitely always worth a try to give it a go. But yeah, but that's been an interesting one for sure. Um,
yeah. Yeah.
so, but yeah,
Well, thank you.
you're very welcome. Thank you for asking such an introspectively good conversational question.
You're welcome.
And other people, I'm sure, ask the same question as well. Like, why does one person see and the other doesn't? But I know
Yeah,
it's individual. So yeah, that's why I'm excited about the adventure, because it is kind of a, Becky put it as it's a choose your adventure. It really kind of is a choose your adventure, more of a choose your stage,
you
um, where you are right now. So, but thank
well, it
you.
sounds
And
like fun. I can't wait to see who shows up.
I know, you know what? We've got a great group so far, and I'm really excited. It's still small enough to really be intimate, but large enough that it should be really a lot of good ideas, a mix of older people and some newer people. So it should be, yeah, it's gonna be a great group. I'm very excited.
Wonderful.
And I will
Thank
see you
you.
next Friday.
Okay, see you next Friday. Bye, little one.
Bye, little helper.
Yeah.